everybody, it's Hump Day. I don't know if you guys ever saw that commercial. I'm actually Nicole. You never saw the commercial with the camel? Whatever. That may be a little bit dated, but whatever. I'm Ashley Nicole Moss. I got Brandon Marshall with me, Corey in the cut, aka Corey Holmes, and it is Wednesday, and we have a lot to talk about. A crazy day of NBA yesterday. Nuggets go up 3-2 in their series. 3-2, I correct? Yes, 3-2. And the 76ers take a surprising lead over the Boston Celtics that has their backs against the ropes. It's going to be a little bit interesting. Boston does not look like the Boston Celtics of last year, and a lot of people are looking at them sideways. The Knicks and the Heat play tonight, Game 5. We're going to win it at home because we're not going out like that. And, of course, we got some cool football news to discuss. But, Corey, I'm gonna throw it to you.
Yeah. Well, like Ashley said, we're going to preview some games. We're going to react to some games. And the NFL releases their schedule tomorrow at 8 Eastern. But we've already known of some matchups. So we're going to talk about that. But, yeah, we got to start with the Suns and Nuggets. So the Suns, they're facing elimination after their Game 5 loss to the Nuggets. The Nuggets got it done 118-102. And Jokic, he recorded his 10th career playoff triple-double. With that triple-double, he now has the most triple-doubles of any center in NBA history in the playoffs, right? He passed Wilt Chamberlain, who had 9. Ashley, I'm going to start with you. Do the Suns have a chance to force Game 7?
They definitely have a chance. They're going to be at home, which is beneficial. Like I said, going into this Nuggets game, role players tend to play better at home, and that's exactly what happened in this Game 5 loss for them, but win for the Nuggets. It's going to be hard, though. I think that Kevin Durant really hasn't looked like the KD that we're accustomed to seeing throughout the season, and I think that's there's a few things in there. Age is a factor. I think also, he is coming off of an injury. We don't know, how he may really be feeling. His shot looks a little bit off at times. It gets him a while to get going. And also it's a new situation. He was acclimated into the situation after his injury, after the trade. It was already midway through the season at that point. Devin Booker has looked phenomenal, but he just can't do it alone. There needs to be more help. And that's where that bench is going to come in, and those role players are going to come in. Whichever way Monty Williams can go ahead and dig deep to make that happen is going to be beneficial to the to the Suns to force a Game 7. If not, the Nuggets are more than equipped to go ahead and end this in Phoenix, for sure.
Two takeaways for me watching that game, and Ashley, you obviously know I'm extremely invested in the Suns advancing because of our conversation around depth, right? I've been getting cooked, and so I really want to see the Suns overcome all these challenges and these problems. Talking about cook, the first takeaway, let Book cook. What I saw watching this game was KD trying to get in the rhythm, and it was disrupting Book really taking over. Like, Book started off on a heater. He's been on a heater. He's been on a phenomenal run. Yeah. And it's like, when do you – as the guy, the superstar, and coming into this, you can say he was the guy. Now it's clear that Booker is the guy. But when do you, KD, say, you know what, you got it, run with it? And I felt like it was a little disruptive to Booker, really keeping him in contention and close.
I think you can do that. Before you get to your other points, I think you can do that if they had a bench that they could rely on. Like, if you knew those points that you were kind of giving up to let Devin Booker cook were going to come from elsewhere, then you can take that back seat. But they don't have that luxury. DeAndre Ayton's not really playing that well. Chris Paul's out of the rotation. Your starting 5 is kind of in disarray.
But it's just
Kevin Durant has to contribute.
It's like you know how it is in basketball, Ashley. When the guy's hot, he's hot. Let him go. And so, like, I just felt like KD was doing what he was supposed to do. He was trying to get in a rhythm, but it was disrupting. It was disrupting Booker. I mean, for them to go down that much that fast was a problem, and they could never overcome that. They fought back. I think it was at the end of the second and maybe in the third to get back to tie the game up. But then the Nuggets just went on a crazy run. The second point, Ashley, and it goes back to KD. We got to say it. He played bad. KD played
bad. He didn't play
no.
great.
KD played bad. He was sluggish. We got to say it, Ashley. I know we always like to give flowers and show people love. We hold people accountable in a respectable way. But KD played bad. You know what it felt like? There was moments when I used to walk into the stadium and I knew I just didn't have the energy. There was a lot of times where I would send an equipment manager or some type of assistant coach like, yo, go to the concession stand, go grab me a Snickers. I need some type of energy. Like, there were so many times I walked into a stadium.
Snickers was your energy bar?
Yeah, because like,
Put you on a commercial.
peanut
What's
butter
the
jelly,
commercial? I know,
something.
right?
And that's
You're
what it
not
felt like. He
yourself
was
when you're hungry.
KD was dribbling the ball off his leg. He was falling, tripling over himself. He was sluggish, and that's not like him. I don't know what's going on. I expect him to play better in the next game, but those are the two takeaways for me. You got to let Book cook, like and it's more so KD just like in those moments getting in the way, and KD got to bounce back. I don't expect KD to have two bad games like
So-
that.
Is it possible they're running out of gas? Him and KD
It's
and Booker?
100%. And this
No,
is
no,
exactly,
stop it. Go ahead. I'm going to let you talk.
Two things, though. I think, one, to your point, let Devin Booker cook. Yes and no. The thing is that what happens is if you don't try to contribute in any capacity, if you don't try to take your open shots, a smart defense will start doubling.
But that's not what he was doing, though, Ashley. He was calling for the ball.
Right. Because he has to contribute. He has to go ahead and try to help, because what happens is you start doubling Book if you know that that's the only player that they have that's going ahead and putting up points consistently. You're going to bring the double team because you know KD doesn't have it. You know DeAndre Ayton doesn't have it. You know Shamit's not a guy who's going to give you 20 points a game. He's an 8 points per game player. You have to go ahead. KD has to try. It's not, you can't put all the weight on Devin Booker.
I agree with you. Basically, let me paint the picture this way. It's what LeBron is doing now with the Lakers, right? Like there's 70% of the time he's letting the offense go
but
through
he has
AD.
a much better team. He has a much more complete team.
It's interesting that you say that, though. They're playing better. Well, no, I can't give you that. I can't give you that. He has the better team.
If LeBron steps back, let's say LeBron steps back and lets AD cook, right? LeBron's 20 points per game. Let's just say that's the number that he's averaging. It's not. It's higher than that. But his 20 points, he knows if I only give you 12 of those, the other points can come from elsewhere. But Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, I feel like, are fully aware that the Nuggets starting five. Did you watch the game? Yeah. Did you? No, I'm saying. Sure. I don't know if you were out or what.
Sure. I think is that the game I called you and you.
No, that was last night.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The starting five of the Denver Nuggets alone is deep. They don't. The Suns do not have a starting five like that. And then you start incorporating some bench players, which I don't have the numbers in front of me. The bench wasn't as I feel like important in this game as the starting five was. But KD knows, Devin Booker knows we are at a deficit against this team, and we have to go ahead and give you 30 plus. Okay, he has to take his shots.
All right, the last thing I will say on this, Ashley, after the third time you dribble the ball off your leg and you know you sluggish, as an athlete, you know like when you just don't have your legs under you. You know when you just not in your
So you don't
groove.
try to fight through it?
Yeah, you do fight through it, but that's, to me, after the third time you dribble the ball off your leg, don't call for hey, we come up, hey, I'm right here, throw me the ball. No, get out the way. You saw what LeBron did. The first play of Game 4, LeBron, what did LeBron do? He sat his ass out there, what we say in football terms, by the hash mark, right? Yeah. By the volleyball line. He sat out there and let AD, went straight to AD in the post, let AD get him rhythm. That's what you do. And I just felt like, it was a missed opportunity for KD. They didn't have a chance. And I am proud of them. I am proud of them for fighting. The end of the second quarter, and I believe it was in the third quarter, they went down 12-15, and they were able to come back and tie the game up. They may even took the lead for a quick second, and then the Nuggets just turned it on. Jamal Murray, and then who started off the game hot? Your boy, Michael Porter Jr.
But and
then he disappeared.
He had the shots that they needed.
When we had this conversation, and this is not even to get back into the depth thing.
You can get in there because I'm not conceding to it.
How are you not conceding after watching what happened last night?
Because when you have, and I think this is you might ask this question next, but it's like, what does the Suns need to do to have a chance for the next game? And to me, KD and Devin Booker got to be KD and Devin Booker. That's it. So to me, when you have legendary players, once in a lifetime players, you know, that's what it is.
I hear what you're saying about once in a lifetime and the will of an athlete, and I'm not discrediting that. But going back to our initial conversation about depth and seeing how this series has unfolded, a part of you has to realize that it is unrealistic to ask two people to score 30 plus and play 40 plus minutes a night. Now, the time playing is not necessarily the biggest factor here because everyone's playing a lot of minutes. It's the points that you're requiring of them when you are going against a team. You watch that game. Michael Porter Jr. started hot. Jokic started hot towards the end of the first half, and then really cooked in the second. You had KCP. You had Aaron Gordon. There was a point that the Nuggets were literally running circles around. That is exhausting as a player, as two players who have to hold the weight of an entire team because they don't have anything to counterpunch the punches being thrown in their direction.
So why doesn't minutes matter then? Because I'm looking across the board and we have this discussion and you guys keep confusing me here. It's like if you look across the board, LeBron's doing it and AD's doing it.
It's not about
Jimmy
the minutes.
Butler's doing it. Even the Nuggets are doing it. So why isn't it about the minutes?
It's not about the minutes. It's about the minutes and the productivity that you're requiring of those minutes. If you playing 40 minutes a game is what most stars are doing in the playoffs.
Right. Yes, right.
But playing 40 minutes a game and requiring 30 plus points in those 40 minutes every single night is drastically different. Because if you're playing 40 minutes a game and say you can on one night you're only going to get 20
let me ask you this question.
or 25, that's
so let me ask you this
You're asking
question.
them to literally score every single time they have the ball in their hands.
Maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe you can break. Maybe you can get through to me on this depth conversation. So are you telling me, and help me here, Joker, okay, Embiid, AD, LeBron James, Steph Curry, like any of the stars that in any of the stars, the superstars that are still in the postseason right now, are you telling me their coaches are coming into games saying, we're not going to run the offense through you. We don't need you to score 30 points.
It's not that we don't need you. What I'm saying is what you need and what is realistic.
And the reason, sorry to cut you off. And the reason why I brought that up is because, to me, no, I'm expecting Joker, and I could be wrong here. I'm expecting Joker every night to drop 30. I need Embiid to drop 30 points every night. AD, LeBron James, Steph Curry, like I need them to drop 30 every night. So that's what I'm not understanding. We're saying, well, it's not about the minutes, and also our stars don't need to drop.
Hear what you're saying, though.
That's like telling a wide receiver, like, hey, we're in a Super Bowl, but we're not going to throw you 10 passes.
Right,
we're going to go to the other guy.
Hear what you're saying, though. You're expecting Jokic to drop 30 plus points a night.
Right.
Your expectation and what the reality of a series is not always wrong. Is not always the same thing. So what I mean by that is, yes, you expect Jokic, you expect your star players to give you a certain productivity every single night. I completely agree with you on that. But the difference is when we talk about a deep team and we talk about a team that's not deep, the difference is if Jokic doesn't give you 30, he falls short of that. Say he only gives you 27. They can still win.
I agree.
But on the Suns, the issue is if KD and Booker do not give you that, there's a high probability because those points can come from elsewhere that they will lose. And that is why they're at a deficit. I agree with you, though. Your stars, you expect certain performances, but you also have to prepare for the fact that they may not be able to give you that every single night, especially in the course of a 7-game series. And that's why they're in trouble.
I know what the Suns need to do, right, if they want success. Because one thing that's consistent with all of the teams right now that are having success in the playoffs is elite center play, right? Like you were listing off some of the guys that are doing it for their teams. It's Joel Embiid, right? It's Jokic. It's Anthony Davis. And right now, I think we're kind of letting DeAndre Ayton off the hook. Right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I think that if he has a big game in Game 6,
but what's a big game?
That gives them a chance. I want at least 10 plus rebounds from DeAndre Ayton. He's not even giving me that. I want better defense from DeAndre Ayton on Jokic. I need at least let me get 20 points. Let me get 20 points. You're capable of 20 points. I think DeAndre Ayton needs to step up for the Suns if they want to give themselves.
What is he averaging? Can you go through some of his numbers, Corey?
Last game he had 14 points. The 2 games before that, he scored under 10 points, and then he scored, I believe, 14 points in game 1.
Yeah, but I'm not worrying about the points. Talk to me about the rebounds.
Oh, rebounds?
You said something. You said you want 10 rebounds. Because the reason why I say that is because when you're going against a back-to-back MVP and Joker, right, it's clear that their game plan is, do everything you can to make his life a living hell. And that's what seems to be the game plan. I know it's hard,
but he's falling short. He's falling short of that.
I mean.
But do you understand what I'm saying? I feel like they're going in and saying, we don't really need much from you on the offensive side. I'm not expecting anything because you got impossible task on the other end. I need everything out of you to slow this dude down.
I mean, that's a terrible game plan considering you don't have the cushion on offense to go ahead and do that. Like, what you do on defense should not dictate what you give me on offense. I'm not asking you to drop 50. I'm not asking you to drop 40. Can you give me 10, 15, 20? Like, you can't go ahead and kind of cut somebody slack because they have an impossible task defensively. It's a two-way game. There's offense and there's defense. What you're doing on the defensive side does not dictate or does not let you off the hook of what I need from you offensively, and he's falling short of that.
It's similar to Jordan Poole, Ashley. We had this conversation when Stack was on Monday, and I think we followed up yesterday, right? It's about like the younger guys overcoming challenges, overcoming adversity, right? Whatever Jordan Poole is going through, right? He's been affected tremendously in the postseason. Ayton, you got to think about Ayton. A couple years ago when Chris Paul ended up going to the Suns, it was Chris Paul being a facilitator, getting Ayton and Booker in the game, right? And Chris will still do his thing. Now let's fast forward. You have Devin Booker, who's the best player in the NBA right now, right there. Let me shelve that right now. For the postseason, everybody know that, but like I'll shelve that. We'll come back to that.
He's probably the best player in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm saying, like, can he carry that? Can he carry that to next year?
You don't think he's top 3?
Oh, of course, top 3. But
he's the best player in the NBA right now. From just looking at the postseason.
In the NBA, I'm talking about in the playoffs right now. I would say it's like numbers wise, probably him.
Number one.
Jokic.
Come on now, Jimmy Buckets.
And probably Jimmy Butler is top.
Jimmy,
right?
and then Joker's still up there.
We know who numbers 1.
I'm trying to think. We gotta
look at his
number 1.
I mean,
he's number 1.
Yeah, I would say they're
Ashley.
top. I would say they're top 3 right now.
Come on, this is insane what he's doing. But anyways, I'm saying that because now you trade for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant comes in. Who's going to get the ball, right? KD and Devin Booker, and you had CP3. This guy is trying to find his way. That's what it seems like, right? Like he's not used to, when I get my opportunity, am I going to be there, right? And that's what you want from your star players. We saw that in the kid from the Lakers. What's his name? What's the kid that had a big game?
Lonnie Walker the fourth.
Lonnie Walker. Like Lonnie Walker is like, I'm sitting here, I'm cold. I get my opportunity, boom, I give you 15.
I think though
some players can't do that, Ashley.
But I told you this when the series started. When you when you were talking about all you need are these 4 guys.
That's right, and I still
Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. I'm gonna give you that superstars. CP3 is aging. Let's
no, Ashley, you're wrong. You're wrong again. He's aged. He's aged.
Okay, aged, whatever. I was trying to be respectful. But in terms,
and I love you, CP.
In terms of DeAndre Ayton, that's why I asked you. Like, have you watched him play this season? You're expecting him to flip a switch and become a player. He's not. DeAndre Ayton, respectfully, is not the guy that people are all of a sudden expecting him to be in the playoffs. He's not that guy.
You know what? Yes, that is my expectation.
But he's never been that guy.
Let me tell you. No. It's a challenge for some of these players where it's like, where you are a focal point within the scheme of the offense, and then you got to go to, I'm just a guy, right? But the expectation is for you to be, what's the kid's name again for the Lakers?
Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker. That's what I'm expecting. You're a professional. I hear what you're saying, Ashley, and you're right as far as like, okay, he's not the guy. But, bro, he needs to look himself.
That guy.
I know, but he needs to look himself in the mirror and say, man, I got to be available. All that other bullshit, you get one opportunity. Sometimes as a player, you think that your career is going to last forever. You think that, there's a next year. No, those next years stop, and you don't have those opportunities, and you're going to be sitting here looking like James Harden or Charles Barkley or even me in football, where you never had that chance to play on the biggest stage in sports, right, whether NBA or NFL. And so that's what's going on with for me, when it comes to some guys like the Jordan Pooles of the world and the Aytons of the world, like that's a problem. You have to fight adversity, and now we're showing that some of these guys can't, and that's a problem.
Yeah. All right, guys, moving on. So Suns, Nuggets, we'll see what happens in Game 6. 76ers handle business in Boston. The Celtics are on the brink of elimination thanks to Joel Embiid and the supporting cast. Joel Embiid, he had 33 points. Maxey, he had 30 points. And James Harden almost had a triple-double. He was 2 rebounds shy. He had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. Ashley, what adjustments do the Celtics need to make to give themselves a chance in Game 6? They'll be on the road.
There's a lot of things wrong with watching that game. Put a different microscope on this team that I don't think that I noticed previously. I think that there's a few issues here. They need one, for starters, a true point guard. Marcus Smart's not a point guard. I don't know if the tandem of Brown and Tatum can work at this point.
Yeah.
It just does not seem that it's going to work. Also, Joe Mazzulla, I don't know if he's the coach that this team needs. It's not the same as Ime Udoka. That intensity, that continuity is just not there with this team. It's not that same well-oiled machine that we saw last year. It's almost like they're playing as strangers. There's no level of symmetry between them when they're on the court. Continuity, it's just not there. Yeah. So there's a lot of issues with this Celtics team. I mean, some of those shot selections were horrendous. It's just the lack of adjustments and the abandonment of what they do well to really just live and die by that 3 ball. There's just so many issues with this team that I don't know if they're capable of winning the 2 in a row that they need to win this series at this point. Like, I feel like for me personally, last night's game, they had to win that. You're at home. You should win that.
Yeah, that was a must-win for them.
The fact that they didn't, and it's not even that they lost in a close fashion. They got blown out.
Right.
Like, it's not even like you lost in overtime like the last game, and you can say, okay, it was a bad decision not to put the ball in Marcus Smart's hand. You got blown out on your home court. I mean, you had fans leaving with 8 minutes left in the fourth. I don't know if this team can combat all of the things stacked against them twice to win this. I don't know. There's a lot wrong there.
Not looking good. What you think, Brandon?
Listen, I hate to sound so like surface level here, and I feel like I've been doing that coming off very surface level over the last week, and I think the reason why is because we mindset is important. And sometimes, like when we get on television and we're listening to some of our experts, they dive too much into the analytics. They dive too much into the stats, right? And sometimes we miss, Ashley, the will of the player, right? The Celtics were clearly the better team all year. So I agree with you that what happened. How do you be one of the best teams in the NBA all year, get to the postseason and play just average?
It's a collapse.
Yeah, it's disappointing. But what I would say, I go back to what we talked about yesterday, what we talked about after Game 1, the will. Their will, they have a stronger will than the Celtics, and they're clearly the better team. Because you can't go out there and just collapse the way you did and get blown out. Not in this moment. Home court too, right?
The thing is I don't think that the 76ers are the better team.
But the way they played that game, that was beautiful.
No, they're playing better basketball.
I want to give you guys flowers because you and Stack talked about this. Maxey. Remember, I was like, where's Maxey? Maxey had 30 points. Maxey stood up, right? No, James Harden could stay in that comfortable place of facilitator. Yep. Maxey showed up, right?
Yeah, he showed up this game.
He showed up. Now, if he continue this, Ashley, problem.
It's like, I don't think that the 76ers are the better team. I think that they're playing better basketball, which is, for me, I feel like, and I don't think Doc Rivers is like this. I don't think he's Greg Popovich. Like, let's be like, no shade, but he's not like
That's true.
this like just larger than life, just incredible. Like, we've seen him do some crazy things. Like, I don't think he's that like mastermind of a genius when it comes to coaching. Mazzulla's getting out coached. I don't know if that's inexperience. I don't know what the situation is, because it's not like he was getting out coached throughout the season. So for me, it's concerning that you get here and it's a drastic collapse. And I started to see pieces of that in that Atlanta series. And I don't know how you go from being a top 2 seed throughout the entire season, at one point the top seed in the East, and all of a sudden abandon everything that has gotten you there. So I don't know if he has an inability to make the proper adjustments. I don't know if it's just that the formula is not working with what's on the court, but I don't know how you combat inexperience, because for all of Doc Rivers' shortcomings, he's experienced. And the adjustments that he is making, as little as they may be, are working.
Maybe it's
and Mazzulla does not seem to have the repertoire to go ahead and fight back in this situation.
Maybe it's not Mazzulla. Maybe it's the players. You know, because you know this. Sometimes, like, the players take control and they have the power, right? Where they're the ones making adjustments. How many times have we seen during timeouts LeBron take the board? You know, you saw that a couple of nights ago. PJ Tucker and James Harden controlling what they're going to do. You saw it the other night. Last night, CP3 actually getting involved, being more vocal in coaching and pulling KD to the side. So maybe it's not Mazzulla. Maybe it's a guy like Mark. And I say this because I read an article after Game 2, and Marcus Smart came out, talk about being the captain and all the adjustments they made, and it just came off as if he just said, you know, I'm taking control. So sometimes it's not the coach, and sometimes it's the players, and maybe that's the problem.
I don't think that. Yes, sometimes, but I don't know if there's anybody on the Celtics who's going to do a LeBron Ty Lue situation.
Smart? You can't see Smart doing that.
They're different players. Like I don't see
challenging it.
I don't see Marcus Smart be like, no, we're going to run that. I don't see him doing that. Like
I can see, but what I'm like, I don't see Jason Tatum doing that. I don't see Tatum doing that, but I can see Smart in the locker room. And like, no, this shit ain't working.
I can see him like that, but in terms of X's and O's and him, you know, I can't see Marcus Smart doing that. I really believe, again, I think it's a multitude of things. The tandem of Tatum and Brown, I think, has reached its end point. It's not. So you're gonna blow up the Celtics? I think you have to make a change.
I think
in order for it to, first of all, there were reports that he doesn't even want to be there, Jaylen Brown.
That's right.
But at this point, it's not working.
Oh, maybe he can go to the Knicks.
It's not. Listen, we're gonna start that agenda sooner rather than later. But it's just nice hell yeah, I would take him. I would package up a deal right now for Jaylen Brown. But it's just not working. And you can't keep getting to the postseason with these two guys who play exceptionally well together in the regular season and keep falling short. Like, you have to make a change. You need a true point guard. Marcus Smart is not that guy, but also, it does lie on Mazzulla. He's getting out coached, and he's getting out coached in ways that he can go ahead, and not even the most complex of ways. He doesn't know how to make the proper adjustments. Whatever he did in the regular season, I don't know if it's the bright lights of the playoffs. I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know what it is, but his adjustments are not there, and this team is suffering because of it.
Shout out to the 76ers, man.
Well, that leads me into my next question. Is this the year that they make it to the finals?
Yes.
No. Oh, wait. The Celtics?
Answers
no, the 76ers.
Oh.
76ers.
Yeah, listen.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't know, because
the
I think if Miami and Philly face each other, I feel like Miami takes them.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you like about that matchup for the Heat?
Obviously, I don't think Miami has an answer for Joel Embiid. I feel like any Heat fan can admit that. I don't think Bam's gonna give Joel Embiid that big of a problem. I don't know though if I would be reliant on. I'm more leaning towards the shooting of Miami and the consistency of that offense than I am of the 76ers. I know what Joel Embiid's going to give me. James Harden, I don't always know what he's going to get. And you know James Harden loves himself some Miami. Tyrese Maxey,
man, when you come
Tyrese Maxey, those guys, yes, when they're on, they're great.
Hold on.
But I don't know how consistently. I know what Max Strus is going to do. I know what Max Strus is going to give me every game.
That's why you need a PJ Tucker.
I know what Caleb Martin's going to give me every game. Like I know what those guys. Can I rely on the
middle of the playoffs? Was in Vegas, like.
It wasn't the middle. They had a huge break.
It don't matter. LeBron goes into, what do you call it? Zero dark 30, or what does he call it? LeBron, he say he stopped reading Twitter and doing social media. I think he be watching. But you got LeBron James going in zero dark 30.
LeBron and James Harden are not the same person.
And then James Harden in the middle of the playoffs, this fool in Vegas. Come on, you can't do that.
I just think
that was a good point. He might come down here to Miami and lose his mind.
I just think that in terms of now, I think Philly's gonna give Miami a hard time defensively because you're not gonna have an answer for Joel Embiid. Like it's very hard to stop him. But in terms of points on the board, offensively, I don't think that Philly has enough to combat what Miami has in that regard. Like, we're not talking about a team that has one or two shooters. I mean, you're seeing what they're doing to the Knicks, and the Knicks have a deep team. Like, you can go ahead and make fun of the Knicks all you want, but throughout the season, you saw that. Like, they have shooters. Now, there's injuries and things in the situation, but they have them. And you're seeing how Miami is attacking them from every single corner. What do you think they're going to do to Philly? Like, who does Philly have that can go ahead and outshoot Miami?
Ashley, you know why the Heat are so tough?
Why?
Haslam.
I knew you were going to say. I knew you was going to bring
Haslam.
I just don't know.
Pay the man. That man want $20 million. Get that man $20 million.
Who do you think on the 76ers you can rely on enough in the way that you can rely on so many different people on the Miami Heat to go ahead and outscore them?
I agree with you, Ashley. Like, I'm purely going off of Will with the 76ers because you don't know what you're going to get from James Harden. Like, I don't know where this guy's mind's at, right? I do know he wants to win. I can see that in his eyes, right? But, like, then, I don't know what they need from James Harden, to be honest with you, right? Like, when they needed him to drop 40, he dropped 40. Last night, we thought, I think I took the over. I thought he was going to have a huge game. Probably, I think your question, Corey, was 30. I took the over. You took the under. Right, damn, you hot right now. Didn't you take the under on James Harden? Damn, you know how much money you'd have made if you took like a little quick little five. Yeah, I'm your bookie. You know what? Why don't we just ride you? That's what we gonna do.
Okay.
You create some parlays and we gonna hit. We can put like $100 down. See, that's how I get you. $100 with the right parlay can bring you in maybe like.
Truthfully, I think that if Boston were to win this series, they would give Miami a harder time than the 76ers would. I think Boston has enough offensive power to compete with Miami. It would be a harder task for Miami than I think the 76ers.
The 76ers
defensively they would give Miami an issue.
They look good as a team. I just don't know
how they combat the shooting that they have.
Look, they look good as a team. Maxey hasn't been consistent. James Harden, I don't even know what consistent is for James Harden, right? Like at this phase of his career, it's like he's a facilitator, but then he can also surprise you and shock you for 40. And then now I don't know if the team is looking at him like, hey, do that again. Or it's just like, hey, we need you to do that again in this moment. So I'm going off a pure will for the 76ers. They look good the last game. It's going to be an interesting matchup if, the Heat advance and the 76ers advance.
I also think Spoelstra would coach circles around Doc Rivers. Like circles, like one hand behind his back, blindfolded, playing Call of Duty. Like
he's a beast.
Like he would coach circles. He would coach
first ballot Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah! I've said this before, and Knicks fans hate me for this, but I tell this story all the time. When I was on radio in Miami doing sports radio, the Miami Heat was the first professional sports team that I really covered. Like I had a pass. This wasn't during COVID yet, but. I had a pass to go to the pressers, and when COVID started happening, they started doing them virtually. I had a pass to when they were in the bubble to go ahead and do the pressers like that. So they were the first sports team that I ever actually covered, which is why I don't hate them like Knicks fans do, because I feel like they also kind of gave me my first opportunity to really cover sports, and I also live here and I have friends on the team, so I've never actually like had that energy towards them. But just being and just like listening to Spoelstra talk and just really being somewhat engraved into that media space of the Miami Heat, you get so much respect for how that team is just dealt with, like how that team is just managed, like from top to bottom, like they are a first class organization all the way from their conditioning to the coaching. But Spoelstra specifically, like covering that team, I gained so much respect for him, not only just like as a coach, but his journey. Like he started logging film is how he got his start.
Right.
But his mind as a coach is incredible. Like his adjustments, like what he can do in real time is absolutely incredible. And that's no knock to Doc Rivers. Like he has, he's done stuff in this league that, you have to give credit to, but Spoelstra is different. And I just feel like if it came down to coach, I would put my money on Eric Spoelstra every single time. Every single time.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep. Eric Spoelstra. Shout out to Eric Spoelstra.
Big Spo.
Yep. We're going to move on to football, right? So the NFL schedule is set to release tomorrow at 8 Eastern, but we actually already know of a few matchups, right? Like one to start is the Chiefs and the Eagles, right? Rematch of Super Bowl 57. So before I even go into what games, have been released today, because we also have a couple of the international games and whatnot, we know of what the Black Friday matchup is. Who y'all got winning in that rematch of the Super Bowl? Eagles, Chiefs.
I'm going to say Chiefs. So.
Yeah, I was right. It's
one of the storylines I'm following, and we'll talk about this. We dive a little deeper into football as the show progresses. As Patrick Mahomes, I want to see, is he really going to just take over the NFL like Tom Brady did, and even Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning obviously didn't win as many championships, but he was a problem, a true problem. The matchup, Eagles, Chiefs. I think the Eagles win. I I mean, this team is
Brandon just likes to piss me off, but go ahead.
This team, man, is the team. I would say they're better. I would say they were the better team even going in the Super Bowl across the board, right? They just didn't make the bigger plays, right? When you look at what they can do running the ball, obviously through the air, and it's all big play. It's not like they have a lot of sophistication in the pass game on the Eagles. It's literally if you're stacking the box and you're giving my guys one-on-one outside, A.J. Brown, all right, and Devontae Smith, it's up, right? And defensively, they brought their guys back. Slade was supposed to get out of there, wanted to get out of there, came back. Defensively, I think, and they had a phenomenal draft.
You got the Philadelphia Dogs,
right? Yeah. And so, to me, like the difference in that game, it was just Patrick Mahomes and making a few big plays. But for the most part, they contained Patrick Mahomes, but he made the biggest plays when they're supposed to count. So if they can, have a solid game against Patrick Mahomes and not let him light it up, I'm going with the Eagles.
All right. So
do you believe in the Super Bowl slump?
Huh? That's both sides. Which side, though?
Well, usually the slump goes to the winner, doesn't it?
That's what it is?
Yeah, usually the winner, the Super Bowl slump is like the urban legend that it applies more to the winner than the loser.
I don't, because Patrick Mahomes, I know Patrick Mahomes is chasing something greater. He's chasing Tom Brady, and he won't say it, but he's chasing Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes, it's clear that he wants to go down as the greatest football player ever, right? And he's taking a lot of Tom Brady's blueprint. After the Super Bowl, what does Tom Brady do? Immediately go in a gym, he films it, boom, post it out there, telling the world and setting the tempo also for his teammates. This is what we on to the next. Literally, the dude went to Disney, and then a week later he was back in, I think his coach is like Charles or something. He's back training. It was phenomenal. Like, this dude is locked in. The biggest question mark is around Travis Kelce. Right? Travis Kelce, there's two things, right? Getting older. How long can he keep this up?
What is he now, 30?
Can you look that up?
31?
How old is Travis Kelce? right?
I feel like he's my age.
And what year is this for him, right? So you got Travis Kelce, who's getting older.
33.
Oh, wow, he's older than
33.
me. Okay.
33.
What year is this for him? 9?
Honestly, that sounds like about 9.
I think it's
8 or
9. I don't
That's
know if
10.
he hit 10 yet. I think it's. I feel
And
like
then
it's
the
9.
other thing is,
Oh, it is 10.
Wow.
Oh,
What?
this is 11.
He's 11
Wow.
year?
Okay.
Wow.
Damn.
that's the guy that makes everything go. So you got Travis Kelce, who's getting older. And then also, when you talk about Super Bowl slump, Ashley, like Travis Kelce's everywhere right now. And good for him. Like Saturday Night Live.
Which he was phenomenal on, by the way. Did you watch?
I didn't watch it. Was it
Oh,
good?
he was good. Like he's got a future in Hollywood after
Right.
this is over. He's just funny. Like
He's awesome.
yeah.
The podcast, and I heard they're
With
going
his
to bring.
brother?
They're going to be doing more this season during the season. You know, so like when you say that,
They
you
have
know,
the
sometimes
match
you get all
coming
these
up.
opportunities. You get all these opportunities, right? You start like, you know, taking little shortcuts on the football side.
I think
Jalen Ramsey went through that.
Yeah, but I think Travis Kelce, though, I think that he, is like a frat boy during the off season. You'll see him everywhere, parties here, things like that. He's at Vanity Fair. He's doing SNL. He's doing his pod. He's throwing in the Lombardi into the crowd at the draft.
Drinking Burr.
Yeah, but I think that Travis Kelce isn't one of the greatest tight ends we've ever seen because he lacks a work ethic. I think that he can flip that switch and
Right.
get in that mode when it's time to get in that mode and only focus on that. I think that there are some players who maybe struggle with that balance.
Yep.
And it's hard, when you're living and
So
you're
Travis isn't one.
But I don't think Travis Kelce's that guy. I think come football season, that will be his only focus, and that will be his only focus until February.
Right.
And then he'll flip the switch again, and he's outside, frat boy, much like Gronk. I think that they share that similarity. Gronk, for all the
my
things that
goodness.
he, Gronk spike, and you see him at. But when it came football season,
Locked
Gronk
in.
was locked in,
Yeah.
and then the switch would flip when it was time to have fun and party, but he'd get right back in that mode. Travis Kelce, I feel like is that guy also.
All right. Yeah. Well, so I mentioned earlier that the international games were released as well. Those matchups. The first one is October 1st. We got the Jags versus the Falcons. That'll be in London, England at Wembley Stadium. And then that next week, for the first time in NFL history, a team is going to play again in London. A team in the first matchup, the Jags, they'll face the Bills in that following week.
Back to back.
Yeah, back-to-back in London. So the Jags, they'll actually stay in London for that whole week and then play the Bills the following week. And then for the last game in London, we have the Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. That'll be that following week, October 15th, November 5th. Dolphins and Chiefs play in Germany. That's in Frankfurt. And that next week, the Colts will play the Patriots. Which one of those matchups you'd say you'd be looking forward to the most?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't watch any of those.
No?
Just because the time difference, I can't. I'm not waking up at 9 o'clock in the
I'll
morning
tell
to
you
watch
what.
football.
I'll
Like,
tell
I
you
just
what.
can't
I'm
do it.
definitely going to watch the Dolphins-Chiefs game, though.
So you're more of a basketball fan than football?
No, I love football,
No,
but I'm not waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning to watch. And the Cowboys never play overseas. Like, it's just Jerry Jones does not do
What
it.
time do you wake up?
On weekends or weekdays?
Weekdays.
Usually like 8:30.
Really?
8:30, 9.
I feel like you're a 9:30.
No, 8:30, 9 depends, because I have Cooper now. So like Cooper is an early bird. He wakes up, he's like running around, and it's usually 8:30. I'll tell you what, as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I was like sleep till like 11, 12, 1 sometimes, like because I'd be up all night.
Right.
Older, now that I've tried to switch my schedule more. So like 8:30, 9 is probably the earliest I can wake up unless I have a flight. I'm not a morning person, but I've tried to like shift my schedule to where I'm like a baby morning person, like a semi-morning. Like that's as early as I can wake up and like function. But
When you
I'm not waking up on Sunday
Tell us
to
about your
watch a
routine.
thing.
Walk us through the first hour of your day.
I wake up, wash my face, do my skincare, pee, brush my teeth, all of that. I then like sage, meditate, pray for about like, I want to say like 15, 20 minutes just to like get my mindset right. I'll make coffee and then I'll like read a few chapters of my book. And
What's
then if it's
coffee?
like coffee, like shut up, Brandon. Then like if it's a weekday where we're working, then I'll get on the
Right.
production call. If it's a weekend, then I'll just, I'll be outside. I like to like gradually like ease into my day. I'm not somebody who likes to like be frantic. But that's usually I make my bed, like that's something I have to do. Like
Have you read the book Make Your Bed?
Yeah, like if they say if you make your bed, it like sets the tone for the rest of the day, like being productive. So I have to do that. But yeah, for me, the two things I always have to do is make my bed, and I have to take time to like meditate and like pray and like just be one with God for at least like 15, 20 minutes, or I feel like my day is not right. Like, yeah.
That's good. All right. What was the question? That was...
No, and I was saying like I can't wake up 9 o'clock on a Sunday to watch.
People liked your
and
in the chat and in the numbers that people really liked your routine.
Oh, thanks, guys.
That's good.
And Jerry Jones does not do it. So I think if I remember correctly,
he doesn't do what?
He doesn't do England game. Like he refuses.
Oh, I was like, we back to that.
No, because if I remember correctly, like reading up on the London games,
he doesn't have a choice.
No, he does. So like what happens is like you have to forfeit a home game in order to go ahead and play a London game or a Germany game. So you have to forfeit a home game. And Jerry's not going to forfeit a home game. You know how much money he makes on home games in Dallas?
That makes sense.
So that's how it works. Like,
hold on, what? Say that again?
So the teams that play in London, or they play Germany, I guess now, in order to do that, you have to forfeit a home game for the season.
So he does.
So that counts as a home game for you. No, but Jerry's like, why would I forfeit a home game in Jerry's world to go play in London that it's not only mostly Cowboy fans when he makes a buttload of money Sundays in Dallas? Like, he won't do it. Whereas maybe some other teams are willing to do it. I don't know what the case is, but
their fan base.
That's
Dallas
what I expand their fan base. But it's the Dallas Cowboys. They don't have to do that.
So I don't feel like that made any sense though.
Okay.
I'm a slow what I'm saying, you're saying if in order to not go to London, you have to give up a home game.
In order to play in London,
yes,
you have to give up a home game. So like that's
but I felt like you didn't have a choice though. Like
no,
I feel like
you can deny. That was mandatory. No, I don't believe it's mandatory.
Can we get a fact checker for Ashley Nicole Moss? Anybody? JP in LA?
I thought there was. Yeah, I thought it was mandatory.
You volunteer. Thursday night's mandatory. But to play the London games, you do not have to do it. You just have to forfeit a home game. So like the Jacksonville Jaguars, for example, forfeited 2 home games, or 1.
I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, they said for scheduling purposes.
I'm not. Look it up.
I need you to be wrong.
I can look it up right now.
You're Devin Booker right now.
I read this in The Athletic.
This is what I would say. I won't concede to the depth conversation. I won't concede to how I feel about veterans in the locker room. But I will say this. Ashley Nicole Moss is the equivalent to Devin Booker in the playoffs. She's on a heater right now. She's on a historical run. But I hope, that you're wrong on this one. Because I feel like this is going to be a trickle-down effect for you to...
No, you...
Go ahead, Boo.
I did find something on NBC Sports that says the NFL...
We can't hear you. Can we hear you?
No.
Can you come, walk in? Like, we ghetto. Yeah. We ghetto.
Come in the cut.
They love us.
Hop in the cut. Hop in the cut with
Corey.
Yeah, that is.
So I saw on NBC Sports.
No, introduce yourself. Tell people who you are, what you do.
What's up, y'all? I'm I'm kind of out of focus, but I'm the fact checker, executive fact checker. But basically, I found on NBC Sports from 2021 article that said every 8 years the NFL is going to make it mandatory that a NFL team plays overseas. But it's every 8 years at least one game.
Oh, every 8 years.
Yeah, but in order to do it, you lose a home game. Like at your own stadium. So Jerry is somebody who's like, why would I do that? You know how much money I make on Sundays in Dallas? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense for him. There's no monetary gain from him doing that. Yeah. So that's basically what the whole situation is.
So real quick, there's games in London. There's games in, in Germany now. Where would you like to see the NFL play games at? They played one in Mexico City as well before.
I would love them to go back to Mexico City, and I think if they did that.
Why?
Jerry would 100% do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
He'd be on board for that one.
100%. I was in Mexico recently.
You didn't go to Mexico when they had the game there. The field was trash.
I know.
Ashley.
I'm saying if they can make the proper adjustments.
Make them go back.
When I was in Cabo and when I was in Tulum, you go into the towns, like the towns or whatever, and there's Cowboys gear everywhere, like Cowboys homemade blankets. I actually got a ceramic hand-painted Cowboys helmet for my dad that I brought back when I was in Tulum. Like,
y'all do
the Cowboys fan, the Cowboys fan base.
I trip in Mexico.
No, the
Cowboys
fan base in Mexico is huge. I mean, you have to think Texas is right there.
Y'all are real fans.
I think that if
trash team.
they can make the proper adjustments in terms of. Didn't you play for the Jets?
the
Giants.
Don't we got Aaron Rodgers?
You play.
Don't we got Aaron Rodgers?
Let's not run through. You want to
Don't
talk
we
about
got
trash
Aaron
teams?
Rodgers?
I mean now, but how long did you play for the Jets and they sucked? How many Super Bowls y'all got? Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay, just making sure I had my numbers right.
yards that year.
But how many Super Bowls do you guys have? How many of them?
There'll always be counters.
How many
The
expectation.
expectation.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
The
One.
expectation.
Okay,
the
thank you.
expectation for the Jets is much lower than the Dallas Cowboys. But
You know
y'all
what we used to-
continue to walk in.
You know what we used to say when I was growing up in school?
Don't say nothing crazy.
We used to have when someone would tell you that they were a Jets fan. So growing up in New York, obviously Cowboys fans were not the majority. You're either a Giants fan or a Jets fan. But growing up, when someone would tell you that they were a Jets fan, it was kind of the same thing that you would do when they would tell you you were a Mets fan. So Jets fan was JETS, suck. That was the chant. And if someone was a Mets fan, it stood for my entire team sucks. That's what Mets stands for.
Man.
That's what the Yankees fans used to tell
What
them.
is wrong with
dead
you?
That's how
wrong.
we used to bully Mets and Jets fans.
One thing y'all can do in New York is trash talk.
What?
Like
Hey,
if
New
you,
York
because
don't play.
it's Yankees
Right.
town. So if you came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'm a Mets fan. My entire team sucks," and Jets was JETS, suck.
Listen, I told
That's
this story
crazy.
before. New York is a totally different animal, right? Where I played in Chicago. That's the number 2 media market, or like sports market, I would say. And then like you got Dallas's anomaly, right? Because the Cowboys and what Jerry's been able to do for so many years there's just a special brand, special team. But like the biggest sports markets, Chicago and New York, right? So boom, I'm in Chicago for 3 years. Then I get traded to New York, and I'm playing for the Jets. Had a cool little run. Then I asked for my release, right? I'm like, man, getting to the tail end of my career. I've done everything statistically as an individual. It's time for me to really, chase a ring, right? The year before, the Giants went 11-5, had a phenomenal defense, top 5 defense. Oh, here were the things I was looking for in the organization. Good ownership, stability in management, and a championship quarterback and good defense, right? The Giants checked the box on all of that and had some because they had Odell Beckham Jr. on the other side. So I'm looking at this situation. I'm like, this is phenomenal. I'm going into year 11, year 12, whatever it was, and he can be the guy. He is the guy. And this was like my secret. Everybody, yeah, I'm like, yeah, Brandon, how this gonna feel to be number 2? And then da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be great. I'm getting older, blah, 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 blah. But in my mind, I'm really like, yo, he got to get doubled. He got to feel that pressure. He the one that's going to get the road coverage. For the first time in my career, I'm going to be one-on-one. I'm actually going to have a huge year. Right. So this whole time in my head, I'm going into this Giant situation like, yo, I'm about to get off, like have a huge year. And it didn't happen. So anyways, 6 games in, I go down. Odell goes down. Dwayne goes down. And also Sterling Shepard. We all go down with ankle injuries, okay? Terrible season. I'm saying all to say this about the New York and how it's different. So during that time, I'm playing with Odell, right? I'm not into fashion. I'm still not into fashion like that. Like, I'll go get an outfit for a weekly show or something like that, and I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? But I really don't understand what's happening. They're talking about Supreme. Like, what is Supreme?
You didn't know what Supreme was?
No, I didn't know what Supreme was. So, like, but Odell and them, they wearing that all the time. And so, boom, I'm driving through Soho, and then I see this long line wrapped around the corner.
The Supreme
I was
store?
like, what is that? And I look, I was like, oh, that's the Supreme store. Oh, that's what OBJ and them be wearing and what they talking about. Let me go in there and see. I'm on crutches now. So I jump out, boom, I'm still on crutches. I walk in like, I try to go to the front of the line. Like, yeah, B. Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Just want to come in real quick just to see what, what I'm saying? This is what Odell and them be talking about. Like, just want to come in and see what's happening. Man, the bouncer, the security looked at me. He said, if you don't get in the back of the line, he said, y'all suck. He said, y'all suck.
Oh, that's about right.
Ain't no love over here.
That's about right.
Bro, I had one crutch in one hand. I was about to slash.
I know this dude ain't just...
Bro, brutal. I was like, oh my goodness, New York is different. But here's the other thing though. Here's the counter to that. When you winning,
they love you.
Ooh,
They own you.
I'll take that all day.
You don't pay for a meal.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many times, Ashley, where especially that those first couple years there with the Jets, I had to tell people like, please, can I just pay for my meal? I don't want to pay for my steak. They sending bottles of wine, dope bottles, right? You get so much love. I'm flying on helicopters to practice for damn Uber prices. Like seriously, I was traveling to practice in the helicopter. The owner's like, yo, just pay the fuel. The fuel was $200 something.
Yeah.
That's it. So I was living in Brooklyn, and I would, boom, take the chopper from Wall Street downtown. I'll take it over to Morristown every single day. I'll be there in 15 minutes, just like
Get
that.
to the chopper.
So anyways, that's that. I don't know why we got it on that.
Brandon didn't catch that reference.
But now, real quick before we move on.
Real quick,
Get
can
to
we
the
say this?
chopper.
Can we say
what's
this?
up?
Because we also, you guys can hear us on Sirius XM. So Faction Talk, all right, channel 103.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm really enjoying being on this channel. This channel's so dope. So it's Corey, Holmes in the cut, myself, Brandon Marshall, and Ashley Nicole Moss. And for you guys that has listened to us on the radio every single day, you can also watch us live on YouTube, right? Everyone, well, Ashley. Ashley, what do you think? You at 1 to 10? You a dime? You a 9? You a 8? You a 7?
What do you mean?
Because I'm just telling the people because they don't see us, right?
Oh, like a 15. Well, listen, I get this question a lot in the chat, and I feel like I'm gonna answer it, so I never have to answer again. Everyone always asks me before we move on, Corey, how are you a New Yorker, born and raised, and you're a Cowboys fan? I'm gonna answer this for you guys. So all of my sports teams are legacy, meaning my dad is a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. My grandpa was a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. So I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since birth. When I was born, January 13th, 1993, my dad said, oh, she's so beautiful, my little baby girl. She's going to be a Cowboys fan, a Knicks fan, and a Yankees fan. I did not have a choice of picking any of these teams. There is a photo, and I'm going to try to find it before the end of the show on my phone, of me as a baby. I have to be maybe 6 months, and I have a giant Knicks hat on my head. I did not have a choice to pick any of these teams. My dad picked them for me. I've been watching these teams since I was a baby. The year that I was born, we won the Super Bowl.
Haven't won one since.
Actually, we won in '95. Don't come for me unless I send for you. Thank you very much. So for everyone asking me, how is it that you're a Cowboys fan and you're a born and raised New Yorker? My dad's a born and raised New Yorker. Shout out to Hollis, Queens, home of Run DMC, LL Cool J, all those people. He is a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, and it's a legacy for me. Didn't have a choice, so I'm here. Here we are.
Pops, a cool dude. Respect you, man. I don't know why you put your daughter in this position. And Ashley, I'm not trying to create any problems at home, but I'm going to say this, right? You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond.
It's too late.
Right? Like, it's not too late. It's not too late to say, you know what, Knicks, and then say, I want to be a Grizzly fan. I want to go be a Nets fan.
It's been 30 years, Brandon. It's too late for me.
No, it's not.
It's too late for me.
No,
my kids will have the same.
No, don't do that.
My kids will have the same burden to bear.
No, you can't let
Absolutely.
them. What happened to choice? What happened to pro-choice?
No, my kids will have the same burden to bear. They will
Ashley,
be Knicks.
that's not
They'll be
fair.
Knicks, Yankees, Cowboys fans. That's just how it will be.
That doesn't even.
And I
sound
dare
like
my
it.
husband to try to change that.
Oh, so yes, that's
We can go
interesting.
toe to toe if you
Talk
want
me
to,
about
baby.
that.
Huh?
Talk to me about that. So you get married, right?
Uh-huh.
You get married in 2 years. All right, 2 years. I'm like, with that one, Ashley. 2 years you married.
It's
and
not gonna be 2 years, but okay, go ahead.
This dude from LA.
That would never happen, but go
Right.
ahead.
So now he's a Rams fan. He's a Lakers fan.
Absolutely not.
He's a Dodgers fan.
Absolutely not.
Where's the compromise?
There is none.
Ashley, that
When you
relationship
can,
ain't gonna last. It
when
ain't gonna last. If you
when
can't
you can go
compromise-
ahead, I'll tell him this. I'll be like, baby, listen. When you can go ahead and harness life for 9 months and bring it into this world, you can decide what team they're going to be a fan of.
So
But until then, they're Knicks, Yankees, Cowboys fans.
So listen, hold on. Listen to this. Then what you need to do, Ashley, because I want to help you out here. Because what I don't want to have happen is 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting down with bruh. I'm like, bruh, you know what I'm saying? I'll talk to her, bruh. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I know she can be difficult. She can be tough. What you need to do right now so you guys are in a good position and y'all built to last is write down your non-negotiables. And then in your non-negotiables in the dating process, you need to tell them like, yo, I know you into the Lakers. I know you into the Dodgers or whatever teams you are. But over here, this is what we rocking with.
The only time I would shift gears and I would let them be a fan of both is like if I married someone who played for a specific team. And then it's different because then it's like you got to support your dad and then when you retire. But like unless that was the case, we ain't jumping ship over here.
Can I ask you a question?
We ain't jumping ship over here.
Can I ask you a question? Because you're single, right? All right, you're single. All right.
Put my business out here.
What's the profile? What are you looking for? What's the profile?
What do you mean?
What type of guy?
Like type? I don't, you know what? At this stage in the game, like physically, I don't know if I have like a very general type. I think when I was younger, I had a very more specific type.
Yep.
And I think when you get older, you kind of value more of character than you do physical things.
That's good.
I do like a guy who's tall and who's, into health and fitness because I am. Right. So I can't, someone who doesn't work out, not athletic. We don't have a thing. But for me, it's more important to have somebody who's intelligent, who's considerate, who is God-fearing or spiritual. Like, I know everyone's not super religious. Like, things like that are important to me. Who's polite, who comes from a good family, things like that. I'm not like, oh, he has to be 6'7" and make six figures. And like, I don't know if I'm on that.
Are y'all old school? Does he have to get your daddy's approval? Like,
for sure.
Gotta come home? How is dad with that process? Like,
my dad doesn't think anybody's good enough for me.
Really? Like, how does that happen?
He doesn't think anybody is good enough for me.
So when the dude come, boom, whatever, meet pops, dude leaves, dad is like, would he pull you in a room and be like, let's talk?
No, my dad will be super cool, like, in their face. But my dad, but you know what it is? I think men have this way of like, and it's been proven, like men kind of know other men in the sense of like, you can shake a guy's hand and be like, when they leave the room, and then tell your friend, oh, no, he ain't it. Like, men just know that about other men. And my dad has told me time and time again. I remember my first boyfriend ever, my first heartbreak.
What's his name?
I'm not going to say his name. Screw him. My first boyfriend ever in high school. My dad met him, and he said, they introduced each other, whatever. My dad spoke to him, shook his hand, he left. My dad goes, he's not a good guy. And I'm 16 at the time, so I'm like, no, I love him. You don't know anything. He was not a good guy. Like, men know other men.
So what's your dad's track record right now? He's
undefeated.
He's undefeated?
Any guy that my dad has not liked has turned out to not be a good guy. Wow. Any guy, we've never dated, but when my dad met Melvin, for example, Melvin and I never dated. That's one of my best friends. But he was like, Melvin's a good guy.
Wow. He is a good guy.
Yeah, like some of my other friends that he has met that we haven't even dated, he's a good guy. But like every single guy that my dad has said is not a good guy, and I've not listened to him, I'm like, no, you don't know anything. I love him. We're going to get married. It's turned out to not be a good guy. So girls, listen to your daddies. They know.
Have you told your dad about this other guy that you told me about earlier?
No.
All right, I'm gonna stop putting you on the spot. Yo,
there's nothing to tell. There's nothing to tell.
That's good.
All right, so let's move on, guys. So we talk a lot about players and how they make their money on the field, i.e. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, who's been in the storylines as of late, but sometimes we got to highlight something, what these players do off the field, right? So yesterday, Uninterrupted highlighted NFL linebacker Jalen Smith, right? Or AKA Smooth. He was one of my teammates at Notre Dame. But he most recently played for the New York Giants, started 11 games for them last year. And the Cowboys, for a little backstory on Jalen Smith, he was drafted by the Cowboys 35th overall in the 2016 draft. Now, he was a guy who was projected to be like a top 5 pick in that year's draft. He was a guy who won the Buckus Award in the 2015 to 2016 season.
Beast.
Yeah, he was the real deal. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. But yeah, he ended up tearing his ACL and I believe it was the PCL in the bowl game, right, like in his last career game, right, in the bowl game against Ohio State. And he kind of, I want to say revolutionized this, but kind of was the first one Well, that gave people the idea, like, maybe we should sit out for these bowl games, right, ahead of entering the draft. So it was an unfortunate situation, but he bounced back. With the Cowboys, he recorded 500 tackles, 9 sacks, 2 picks. And like I mentioned last year, he played for the Giants. But uninterrupted. They didn't highlight him yesterday as a player, but they highlighted him as an entrepreneur, right? So shout out to Andrew Petcash, who was the original source of this and detailed, what Jalen has been managing off the field. So first, to start, he opened up a ginger ramen bar on campus at Notre Dame. And as a Golden Domer, I can tell you that is going to do very well at Notre Dame. That is one thing, that's for sure. But on top of that, right, he also has his own venture capital arm. So what that means is what he actually does as well is host annual pitch competitions for black companies, black-owned companies, Latinx-owned companies, and female founders. And of course, that has led to him investing in a number of different companies: Zertu, Onyx, East, The Cycle, Cohatch, CEV Collection, which is a sunglass company, Nestre, which is a mental strength app, and EOS Worldwide, which is an operating system. So I wanted to ask you though, Brandon, like, how do athletes get into entrepreneurship while they're actively playing? I mean, Jalen Smith, he's obviously a great example of this.
Can I say, when I sent this to Corey, I was like, Brandon will love this topic. We have to talk about this.
For real.
This is right up his alley. Former Dallas Cowboy. I was like, we have to discuss this. This is Brandon's thing.
Right. Well, you know me, John. Well, there's a lot here, and please jump in the chat if anybody has any questions or any comments. We love to hear from you guys. First off, I want to say just big ups to him. He's faced a lot of adversity, and to still be able to be standing, playing ball, and also building his empire is impressive. Not a lot of guys are in position to transition or in position to find that second mountain. There's a dope book out there called, Your Second Mountain, right? So a lot of guys play ball or whatever, or a woman could be doing one thing, and then it's like, when that's done, what are you building next if you have an opportunity to build something next, right? Yeah. A lot of guys are struggling. Some of your favorite NBA players, NFL players right now is struggling big time, and you may not even know it. There's a lot of opportunities, because you talked about his concept on campus. Yeah. I think that's some of the biggest missed opportunities for us as athletes is we're not investing enough on campus. Our names are legendary on some of these campuses. So that was the first amazing move that he made. Very bright. I went back to UCF and I tried to do it, but I didn't have the First off, don't put the fame before the game. It's key. What we're seeing now with a lot of guys, especially at the high school level, college level, now that they passed the NIL, name, image, likeness bill, where now they can monetize their name, image, likeness, they're focused on that. The parents are focused on that. Now, what about this kid still developing? What about this kid understanding that you could potentially get the Patrick Mahomes deal of $450 million. You could potentially get the Lamar Jackson deal where he's making $52 million a year? 52, yeah. Right? Like, that's the bag. That's your opportunity. So don't put the fame before the game. What does that mean? I think there's a process. I think there's a life cycle to this. When you make it to the NFL, and now things are changing because you got athletes that are making $300,000 a month. $400,000 a month. Some are making $1 million a month in college. Before they even get there, there's kids getting big bags from their collectives from around the country, like the Alabama collective, the Tennessee collective. That's where the top entrepreneurs in those schools come together, and they're funding these programs. And so the life cycle for me, the process for me is really, first you come in the league, and if you don't know, you start exploring. You're focused on your games. In the off season, maybe a couple of your off days in season, you start asking questions. You shadow, the people in your industry, in your space. You may sit down with them and have a coffee. That's important because you want to learn. You start reading. You start watching documentaries. You may even take a course online, right? When you feel like you are a true pro And what is a true pro? You have your routine down. You know how to take care of your body, right? You're in a good flow in the recovery. What time are you waking up? You're productive on the field. You're approaching your next deal, right? That's when you start putting together your plan to invest in what you want to invest in. I think this is important, extremely important, because there's never going to be a time where an athlete is going to have millions of people watching them every single Sunday. Right? Yeah. 6 months out of the year. Yep. Think about that. You got 70,000 people live in stadium, 40,000, 35,000 in the arena if you play basketball. But then there's another 3 to 4 million that could be watching you through a broadcast. And then after that, you get more opportunities to create more impressions. Because if you ball out, guess what happens? You are the one that's sitting there and you have the presser. Not everybody get that opportunity, right? But you could be the one sitting right in front of that backdrop and like, hey, man, we want to talk about how what your team did and how blah, blah, blah. Did you not see D'Angelo, that's his name? D'Angelo Russell for the Lakers. He had his energy drink. He had an energy drink, right? So boom.
Cocoa 5 or whatever?
Yeah. What is it called?
Cocoa 5, I think.
Cocoa 5. I just ran into the founder of Cocoa 5 in Boca. Shout out to them, Chicago brother. So he had Cocoa 5 sitting here, right here, boom. And then the team came, and the team said, what? No, you can't put that up there. There's not a team partner.
It's not sponsored by the NBA.
Right. Ashley, let me tell you what I did every time I had a press conference. Man, they had those Gatorade bottles up there. I moved all of that. They not paying me, right? But I'll put my products up there. I'll put who was sponsoring me. That was an opportunity because there's another 500,000 to 1 million people that could potentially see that clip, that presser. So you have to understand that you'll never have that much visibility. You'll never have that type of platform again. We're blessed on our platform to have the team that we have, meaning you guys that follow us on social, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube clips. So this is an anomaly for, us contributors on I Am Athlete to still be able to have this type of reach. But most athletes, I would say 97% of athletes are never going to get that opportunity. So what are you pitching? What are you selling? What are you building? Right? And so that's why I love what he's doing, is because he's starting it now. And about time he's ready to transition, it's already built. Yeah. Right?
Cocoa 5 is actually really cool. If you look at their website, shout out to JP for sending this to me. It lists all of the people who are involved in the company, and you have Devin Booker, who's a majority owner and ambassador. D'Angelo Russell's a partner. Derrick Rose is a partner. The Morris brothers are partners. Jaleel Okafor is a strategic partner. You have Michael Wilbon, who's a partner. Charles Barkley's a partner. It's actually really cool. It's all black athletes or former athletes. And it's built on, since it's for athletes, it's built with athletes in mind as part of their entire infrastructure of their company, which is actually very cool. So
that's awesome. And look at all the names you listed there. Athletes now are investing into startups. We're seeing guys participate in exits. KD, he's probably made almost $100 million off the court. I mean, I speculate. I'm just throwing numbers out. I know he had like one big one, like $30 million exit. LeBron James, you have Steph Curry, the Russell Westbrooks, the Russell Wilsons. There's a lot of guys doing some big things. So I won't be long-winded here. Yes, Ashley, you must have wanted to take a break. You must have wanted to take a break here, because when you sent this to Corey, I know Brandon can talk 15,
No,
20
I actually
minutes
have
on this topic.
No, I also had a question about this that I wanted to ask. I mean, when we speak about football specifically, obviously the NBA is different, the money is different in the NBA, but football, there's only such a small percentage of guys who are making a lot of money. Yep. So I feel like, or I wonder rather, does that make entrepreneurship more difficult, and is that why a lot of the times guys maybe don't invest that money correctly while they're actively playing, so that they're set up for life after football? Because a lot of the times guys are kind of living not paycheck to paycheck, some guys maybe, but they don't have the disposable income that, say, a Lamar Jackson or CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott or those big names that are making big money have. So it makes it more difficult for them.
No.
How do you combat that?
Times are changing, and here's how it's changing, right? It's a mindset. It's a training. It's a philosophy, right? So the philosophy around athletes and their money is you're never going to make this money again. Athletes go broke because they invest in the House of Athletes of the world, the I Am Athletes of the world. They invest in barbershops. They invest in restaurants. So, look, take your money and let your money work for you. Mm-hmm. And so when I first got in the league, I never forget, Dre Bly was like, yo, what you're looking for is just a 5% return. And that is super, super conservative. We're talking about, just the markets over the last 10 to 12 years. I had a call from Morgan Stanley yesterday. It's like, yo, it's a volatile market. You just got to give your heads up that your portfolio may take another hit. And we're talking about losing millions of dollars over the last year. But the market, traditionally outside of the global economy over the last year and a half, you can easily get a 12% return on your money. There's guys that are bringing back 22%, right?
Damn.
But the more aggressive you are, right? Like if I put my money in the market and I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna touch it. I ain't gonna look at it for 10, 12 years. But you can be aggressive and make more money where you can say, like, I'm a play the stocks like on a weekly basis, daily basis, a monthly basis. So what they're telling us as athletes is be conservative, make your money, and don't do anything with it. Now athletes are making more money, right? Like when I got in the league, like the Jerry Rice of the world, they were making like 3, 4, 5 million. Jerry Rice is the GOAT in my eyes, right? I made more money than Jerry Rice. Okay. And now you got receivers that are number 2s that's making more money than me. And they don't even have half the stats that I had, right? Receivers making $20, $30 million. So now you do have the disposable income, not everybody. You do have the disposable income to take chances. So what you're seeing is guys diversifying their portfolio by saying, okay, I'm going to be conservative over here. I'm also going to put this over here with life savings. I'm going to go put this over here in cash. But then I'm also going to allocate maybe $100,000 a year. Some guys may be allocating $1 million a year to invest in startup and invest in some of these opportunities, right? And so things are changing, and it really is because athletes, we are lazy. We are copycats. We say it's a copycat league. So you have like LeBron James of the world doing this. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry's of the world investing in launching funds and, production companies, et cetera, et cetera. Russell Wilson on football, even Tom Brady, the Michael Strahans, and there's so many other guys that's doing it at a high level. Aaron Rodgers, quietly, he's an owner of the Bucks, part owner, small, and he's invested in some big things. So I think it's a mindset thing, but it's definitely shifting, Ashley.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys, we're gonna transition.
Y'all, I can talk about this.
No,
I need to start like a whole
podcast.
All right.
I put all my money. I did the opposite of what my financial advisor said. I retired with no debt.
Yeah.
Everything paid off. Mom's house paid off. Dad's house paid off. Wife's mom's house paid off. All cars paid off. Moving into a career where I could potentially make, like, my vision when I retired was, I was going to leverage TV to push back to like, my nonprofit, when my nonprofit became a for-profit, and that's House of Athlete. But I was looking at Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan, this is what I know, right? And it's public, so I'm not just throwing it out there. It's almost, I think it's like $30 million a year. I'm like, yo, within 5 years, I'll be at 10, and I really work at it and perfect my craft. I could be at 20, in front of the camera. And so, like, my plan was that retire, everything paid off, no debt, and my money, that is my money making money, not even touching that. Now I got all this other cash coming in. Man, I did the opposite. I invested all my cash, and I am at the House of Athlete.
Oh, God.
Ashley, listen to me. It's boom or bust.
Boom or bust.
And y'all out there, if y'all ain't rocking with us and y'all stop following the show, Hell, I'm gonna be asking y'all for a place to stay. I'm gonna be asking y'all for $5. Ashley, I might be staying with you. I'm all in. I'm pot committed. My financial advisor's like, what are we doing? Oh my goodness. But I love it though. I wouldn't change it. You know, the only thing for me is like making sure my kids is good. Like I feel like we have an opportunity. I was listening to a clip to TD Jakes, so he's on Breakfast Club, and he was talking about disruption, right? And he was like, you got to be willing to break it down and build it back up better, right? And so there's a lot of opportunity for us men, women, especially men and women of color, to participate in spaces that weren't, you know, welcoming to us before. Like even new media, right? Like I love, you know, Draymond. That was last year. Draymond had his podcast and he was doing on that run.
I believe he launched it last year, yeah.
Right, like going out there and just he's on new media. Yo, like I love that. I support the entrepreneur because there's a lot of opportunity for us in media. There's a lot of opportunities for us in you know, e-commerce. I mean, across the board. So if you're out there, have a plan, you know, learn, know that's going to be hard. You know, some of the greatest companies, the products that you love, you know, they've been around for years, but y'all didn't see the first 5-7 years. Y'all didn't see, you know, what they went through to build it, right? Like read the stories and read the books.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to move on and transition to our Fact or Foolish segment. So in this segment, I'm going to read these guys a statement. They determine whether it's fact or foolish and they have to give their explanation why. So to start it off, we were talking about the Chiefs GM Brett Veach yesterday. Well, he made a statement about Patrick Mahomes as well. If you guys remember, 3 years ago, Patrick Mahomes signed a historically large 10-year, $450 million contract. At the time, he was going to be making $45 million per year. And at that time, it was $10 million more than any other quarterback in the league. Well, now, with the latest signing, you know, that Lamar Jackson made and Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes is now 7th. We're talking about the, you know, reigning Super Bowl champion. So Brett Veach said that they do plan on reconstructing his contract maybe before the season starts. So my question is to you guys, Patrick Mahomes begins the next season as the highest paid quarterback. Fact or foolish?
I would say, man.
I say foolish. I think if they restructure it, I feel like they're going to restructure it to be more team friendly, not to give him more money per year. I think that the money that he'll get will either do one of two things. I think that each season maybe he'll gradually make more.
Yeah.
Or they'll just stretch out the remainder of his deal. But I don't think that he goes into next season making more money than he was set to make. And I don't think he goes into, or it could be incentive based, but I don't think he makes more money than Lamar or Jalen. I think that they're gonna restructure it to be more team friendly, not to give him more money per season.
I think
at least this season.
I think it could be both. Ashley, we in the past we've seen organizations and their franchise players be creative, right? So it's more so about the salary cap. And I got to be honest with you guys, I haven't really peeled back the layers here and did my research to break down where they're at, and you know, Patrick Mahomes, you know, how is he hitting the cap? But if Patrick Mahomes won a new deal, he can get a new deal, and they can make it team friendly. They did it with this deal, right? Like, remember when this deal was announced? We were like, whoa, like this dude just hit for $500 million. You remember that? Like no football player has ever done. We still haven't seen this.
Yeah, it was insane.
We still haven't seen anyone say, boom, $400 million, $500 million. Those are baseball contracts, right?
Yeah, right. I was going to say that.
But obviously now the per year is going up at the quarterback position. So the thing that people loved the most about this deal was the team-friendly approach that they took. And I couldn't understand it. Some of this stuff was over my head, but how it allowed them to pay the Tyreek Hill, and then they ended up letting him go because he won another deal. And then, you know, Travis Kelce and a few others. So I think there's a way for them to be creative. He deserves it. I say fact.
Yeah.
I say fact. They get it done, and they find a creative way to make it, you know, beneficial to the team and Patrick Mahomes. And because think about it, Ashley, like nobody was expecting that from the beginning. It's almost like what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts, right? Like the Eagles came out and said, we ain't playing with him. That's our guy. right? Because I was even thinking that Jalen Hurts fall right around like 45, 46 million. I did not think that he was going to get the biggest bag.
I did.
You did?
Because
He just finished year 3,
he's fresh
though.
off a Super Bowl.
I know, but it's like because the reason why I didn't think that, because when you still have time left on your deal, you're usually doing a team-friendly deal.
I saw it happen.
You
Fresh
saw
off
it?
a Super Bowl, they saw what was going on with Lamar and the Ravens, and you got to keep your guy happy, and this was keeping him happy. Now it's you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of situation, and I feel like they saw the value in Jalen Hurts from day one, and they didn't play around with it, and I kind of already saw that happening.
And that's how I feel about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's just like, yo, this is our guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I can see them just saying, you know what, we're going to take care of you. Hell, that might have been the deal. You always going to be the top paid quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, Corey, we kind of flew through some of the games that they released, because the NFL's releasing the schedule tomorrow, like all of the games.
Yeah,
they released some. But like what I was going to say was, I'm into the storylines, and that's one of the storylines for me is Patrick Mahomes. What Patrick Mahomes are we going to get? Right? I feel like he has a moment right now just to go on a crazy run to do this special. But I'm also interested in Joe Burrow. Right? Like Joe Burrow, like, what is this, year 4 for? He's going to year 4?
Yeah, year 4.
What kind of Joe Burrow are you going to get? Obviously the Jets, Anthony Richardson. Like, I'm excited to see him in the Colts. And the Browns as well. I think the Browns could be a sneaky team. I definitely do. But a lot of that is, contingent on, Deshaun and what they're doing on the offensive side.
Yep. All right, moving on. But we were speaking of quarterbacks, right? Well, we have another quarterback conversation. After the Titans drafted quarterback Will Levis out of Kentucky in this year's draft, there's now concern if second-year quarterback Malik Willis might be the oddball out, when the Tennessee Titans, end up making their cuts. So I wanted to ask you guys, fact or foolish, Malik Willis doesn't make the Tennessee Titans 53-man roster.
That would be nuts, because don't all teams have 3 quarterbacks?
No.
Typically,
for the most part, they have 3.
You mean
some
like,
franchises,
you have your quarterback, your backup quarterback, and then his backup. You know what I mean? It's usually safe to have 3. As we have seen, I believe it was my Dallas Cowboys. Sometimes you got to dip into the 3rd one, because sometimes your backup gets hurt. So it would be insane to me for them to not have him on the roster. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. See, I'm allergic to like unrealistic things. I'm gonna go ahead and say foolish.
Now, Brandon, before you give your take, do you think another team comes in and swoops Malik Willis before the offseason ends?
No, I don't see their general manager as a guy that's just going to just like will and deal just to will and deal.
Yeah.
I think the thing that makes their general manager Rand special is he can identify talent. He knows how to help develop talent. And he's one of those guys that approaches it both ways from a mindset standpoint, knows how to say the right thing to a guy. It could be a quick little push. It could be love. It can be ignoring the guy. He's special when it comes to that, right? That's why he's in this position. All I remember from Malik last year, I do know he struggled, and I can't put it all on him. The team struggled when he was behind center. But, man, didn't he have a phenomenal preseason, Corey?
He had a pretty decent one.
No, I thought that everybody was excited. I thought he was making big plays. He was running like crazy.
Yeah, it was, but I wouldn't say overall top to bottom it was phenomenal. There were incredible moments. And you were like, okay.
I could be off here, but I was remember like, for me, the conversation being like, yo, could he potentially should they be starting him over Ryan Tannehill last year?
I think he flashed athleticism. I think that's really what it was. But we knew him to be an athletic quarterback, right?
Right.
But that's not what get it done. What gets it done on Sundays. So that's where he fell short. And I can't remember any splashes he made in the preseason, but I just know that in the regular season when he did get his opportunities, he really just didn't step up.
So I'll go foolish here. I think he makes the 53-man roster for sure.
Okay, as the third, you think they keep 3 quarterbacks, all throughout the season, or do you think they put them on the practice squad?
Who's the second? Who did they draft? They drafted
Malik Willis.
in the second
I said Malik
round.
Willis. Will
That's
Levis.
right.
Will Levis.
Now it's coming to me.
Will Levis.
I've been asleep behind the wheel with the. Some of y'all fight fans out there, it got heated in the Ryan Garcia and the Tank Johnson press conference at the end. The Tank's promoter looked at what's his name, De La Hoya. He said, "You've been sleeping behind the wheel for 10 years. You've been sleeping behind the wheel." Anyways, man, I'll be honest with you. I am nervous for the quarterback. What's his name that they just drafted?
Will Levis.
Will Levis. Let me tell you where I'm nervous for Will Levis. Remember I went out to Cali and I, did the whole 7-on-7 thing and we got a couple sound bites from all the quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers. It was a beautiful event. I was able to MC that with Jordan Palmer. And so a lot of the quarterbacks were there and damn near all the quarterbacks that went in, the first 6 quarterbacks that went in this year's draft. And he was one of them. He's too excited to me. He's too emotional. He's too raw for me. Like, talented, yes. Can make every throw, absolutely. But what makes really good quarterbacks is literally what's between their ears, right? And being able to stay steady. You can't be up here when things are great. Like you had your moment, do your fist pump, celebrate with your teams, but then immediately you got to get back to the sideline, calm down, go through the plays. Even if you had a successful 12-play drive, you got to be able to go over there and see, okay, what happened? Let me process this. Let's go through all of our third downs. Let's go through red zone. Let's go through all the situations that came up, good or bad. And so, to me, I just feel like he's a guy that might be just high all the time, right? And which means that on the other end of the spectrum, if it gets really tough, he might be low. Oh. And I'm being honest, man. And it's just, actually, it's that thing that I do, right? The will, look at an athlete in his eye. It's like that. Josh Allen was out there too, and Josh Allen had a phenomenal time. He was hype. He was having a good time, throwing stuff, running in there, celebrating with his team. But you saw him just even kill. Aaron Rodgers had some moments out there as well, right? And this kid, and that's where I saw the Atlanta quarterback. That's why I'm like, I think Desmond Ritter. Okay, cool. Help me with these names. Yeah. I saw him out there and I was like, oh, I loved his poise. And to me, the great quarterbacks, man, they know how to process. Yeah. They know how to control all the moments. What are you going to do when your superstar wide receiver is yelling at you saying, I want the ball, throw me the damn ball? What are you going to do when you throw 3-4 picks? You saw Carson Wentz fold. Right. Yeah. Right. We saw the other quarterback fold, not Barkley, the quarterback the Jets drafted.
Yeah, that's who I was going to bring up. I would say the way you were describing him, I immediately think Zach Wilson. Is that who you were thinking of?
No, he's not Zach. He's not like a high energy guy for me like that. Zach is just super cool. That high. Oh. Yeah, Zach is just super cool to me. It's he act like Gronk.
Really?
That's what it is. Actually, act like Gronk.
That's interesting.
And then you seen what he did. Was it draft day or the day of the draft? The dude put mayonnaise on.
Oh no, but it's not the day of the draft. He puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
What is that?
Come on,
you trust him as your quarterback?
No. Come on, I don't even trust him to watch my dog.
Can somebody explain to? Have you ever seen that before? I've never seen that.
Yeah, he got to explain that one.
Can you?
That one was different. That one was different.
It's not different. It's freaking disgusting.
Yeah. Ashley, he put mayonnaise in his coffee.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Interesting quarterback battle in Tennessee. So
Hold on.
Yeah.
Can we stay here just a little
You wanna
bit
stay here
longer?
a little bit
Corey?
longer? We got 10 minutes to get through some NBA.
What is, do you follow me, Ash? Because I feel like I might have a breakthrough with Ashley. Because when we talk about willpower and athletes
man, he caught up
overcoming
on
the
this.
statistics and the analytics, when you just look at athlete in the eye, or you see how they move and be like, oh, I ain't betting with him. That's why I put the 100,000 on Izzy that time. Izzy was 0-3. What? Right, Woo? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was 0-3. Knocked out twice by this dude. and Ashley, I went to him, I'm looking at it, I took him like this. I might have had some shades on. I'm trying to be cute, creating content. He said, oh, you think this is a game? He said, He said, you think this is a game?
The mayonnaise and the coffee thing, just like, I feel like
right.
I can't trust you.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Like, and I think the premise of it is to like make it creamy.
What?
Like, you know how people put creamer in their coffee? But like, there's so many variations. There's so many variations of creamer now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they got
bad decision maker.
They got Cinnabon creamer now. Like, you don't have to resort to mayonnaise, my guy. Like, it's 2023. We have so many options. There's oat milk, almond milk. There's International Delight. There's Starbucks. There's Chobani. There's so many brands. There's Dunkin' Donuts. There's Cinnabon. There's I mean, the list. There's Cold Stone. The list goes on and on. You don't have to do this. Like, you just don't. You don't have to do this. Like, it's just,
Did I go too hard on them?
No, it's disgusting.
Okay. Yeah. Good luck, bro, because he is a nice guy. But hopefully, listen, it's almost like what Stephen A. Smith says and Shaq says it, and I think they be BSing. Oh, I'm giving you a message. You know how they be getting on players, and they're like, are you listening? I'm trying to tell you.
A message, Will. Leave the mayonnaise at home.
So hopefully he hears this, and basically what I'm trying to say is this, bro. Like, don't be too high, don't be too low. And at the quarterback position, there's going to be a lot thrown at you, and you got to be able to manage it all. And so, like, when you get too ramped up, right, that could be a problem. You get too low, that could be a problem. So try to be as even keel as possible. You'll have some success because you can make all the throws. And I thought you were smart. I think you're smart. I think that was just one bad decision, but I think he has the IQ that it takes. All right.
Like I said, we'll see. An interesting quarterback battle in Tennessee. But all right, we're going to go back to the NBA. So for our first one in the NBA, Factor Foolish, 76ers close out the Celtics at home in Game 6.
Foolish. It goes 7.
Going to 7.
This is
Boston's gonna have one of those games that you remember the Boston Celtics they can be and give their fan base hope, and then Philly's gonna close it out.
Ashley.
It's going 7.
Ashley.
It's going 7.
Look in their eyes.
It's going 7. Boston's not going. Boston's not going.
Look at MB's eyes right now.
Boston's not going out like that at home. It's going 7.
I'm saying fact here, and I also would like to propose a bet. Don't you owe me something? What happened to our last bet? I know you owe me 2 glasses.
I owe you 1 pair of glasses. Do not disrespect me.
When are you going? You like these ones that I have on?
Those are better than the ones you've been wearing.
Oh no, listen. I do not want y'all to think the expectation is not that I'm wearing glasses every show, because I cannot afford to wear glasses every show. I would love to, Ashley. I would love for us to sign a few big deals or something, and then I can invest in some nice glasses. I would actually allocate a chunk of budget to that. But anyways, Ashley, you owe me some glasses. I felt like we made another bet.
That I won.
Was it in the playoffs or something? Please, I know JP tracking this. I know he knows. But there was some bet, and so I feel like I hit on that. This bet is, let's bet the game tonight.
I mean,
you got the Celtics. I got the 76ers.
JP, doesn't Brandon owe me like a bag or something for like this Suns Nuggets situation? Like, I feel like I'm owed something. I feel like something's supposed to be coming.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I hit on something.
I'll double check. No, I hit on something. You hit on.
No, you know what our bet was, because you missed out. You missed out. It was something like I would say Brandon is something, and then for me, I said I was going to.
No, I've actually
carry your bags.
That was one bet. There's another bet about the Nuggets Suns.
Who's tracking these bets?
JP's tracking it. The Nuggets Sun one is where you owe me big if the Nuggets win it.
Woo, can we get a bet a tracker? We got a fact checker. Woo came on the show.
If the Nuggets win the series, Brandon owes me a bag. That was the bet, because he was hell bent on the Suns. He also owes me a look
that's
into
not,
the.
I did not say no bag.
Yes, you
what
did.
I say? I said a bag on what?
If the Nuggets beat the Suns, because you said
Fact
that the
checker.
Sun we have it's tracked. We
A
can
bag?
run a bag. Yes, you do.
I put a bag on the Suns.
You put a bag on the Suns, not a
Then I-
bag, not a bag, a handbag bag.
I know what a bag is.
Oh, I thought you meant a bag.
Dior.
No, not it wasn't like a Chanel. It was
what?
it wasn't like I think it was. What did I say? No, it wasn't a Birkin.
Birkin.
It wasn't a
Birkin.
Birkin. It was like an LV or something. It was within a price range. It wasn't. It wasn't no.
That's way out the price range.
It wasn't no Birkin.
Was that the bet?
That was the bet. That was the
Oh,
bet.
you-
No, that was the bet for the Nuggets Suns.
No,
hold
we
on.
don't know that.
That was the bet for if the Nuggets beat the Suns in the series because you were hell bent on the Suns. The other one that I won was a small bet, and that was just he has to look into the camera and say I was right about whatever. That was the small bet. And I owe you a pair of glasses. Those are the 3 bets.
I
that we
don't
had.
know about this.
It was true.
I don't know about this.
You bet a bag. You
Whoa,
and I remember
tripping.
the limit actually. If I think
5K,
about it,
5K?
no, the limit was like 3. I think it was like 3,000 or something.
Oh,
like
that ain't bad.
Yeah,
That
it was-
ain't
it was
bad.
a light
But I
bet.
feel like you can't. That's like you getting a clutch then. You getting a clutch.
clutch?
That's a,
No,
a
3,000.
clutch
You can get a nice
from Louis. That's
you
a
can get a nice, cute. No, it's 3,000 of anything. It can be like a cute little Prada bag. It's just 3,000 is the limit. And then mine was 700 were your glasses.
all right.
that
I need to see this played back for this to be official. But all right, if it is, that's what it is.
That's what it is. If the Suns lose the Nuggets,
All right. So what you want to do? What you want to do for this game?
what are we betting? Just
So
the game
you got
or the
Celtics.
series?
You got the because
You-
if the 76ers win tonight, the series is over,
Okay.
right? It's
Tomorrow night, but yeah.
tomorrow night, right?
If the Sixers win, it's over.
It's tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Oh, so why are we placing a bet now? Let's sit on it.
Ask our
wanna sit on it?
producer.
Yeah, then why are we doing
No,
why-
you already took the Celtics.
I know, but I'm saying come up with the bet for tomorrow.
Oh,
like, why would
okay,
I? Yeah,
All right.
I'm not
Y'all
thinking
gotta
on
come
the
back
spot.
to see the bet. That was really good.
All right, well, we got our 2 games tonight next, right? So for our next Factor Foolish statement, the Warriors rally and force a Game 6. They got Game 4
Fact.
Foolish.
tonight.
What?
What? The
No,
Warriors?
fact.
It's over for them. Did
fact.
you look in their
Are they-
eyes?
they're home?
Did you look in their eyes?
They're home?
It don't matter. Did you see that
They're home.
They're defeated.
They're home.
They're done. LeBron
They're
and the
home.
Lakers. That defense is swarming.
Fact. They're home.
Steph Curry is.
They're at the
like-
Chase Center. They're
Steph Curry
home.
need to go save.
They're home.
He said he go save.
They're home. They're forcing. They're
A 7? No, Ashley.
No, this is so Game 5
Ashley,
is
I
coming.
just
It's 3-1
LeBron.
Lakers.
You
They're-
see?
are they
You see what the
home?
It's
NBA
3-1
post-
Lakers, but the Warriors are home.
Oh, it's 3-1.
It's
They're
3-1 Lakers.
forcing
The
it.
Warriors are
They're
home.
forcing
This is
it.
4 Game 6.
No way. Listen,
Facts.
Ashley.
fact.
Did you see LeBron and what the NBA posted? That man arrived 20
The
hours
Warriors ain't
before tip-off.
The Warriors ain't going out like this at home.
He
They're forcing
came
the
in.
Game
LeBron,
6.
this is not what you understand. And here's the will. This is what I'm talking about. You got to look in their eyes. You got to see how they moving. That tells a lot. If a player come in, they moping like this and that. Oh, don't bet them. Don't count on them. LeBron came in at 157 into the arena. Fly. All the gear. You know they do them fashion walks. Boom. At 2:03, he was getting up buckets.
We're not talking about. We're
And
not.
nobody else was in the arena.
We're not talking
The
about.
game, the tip-off was at 10.
We're not talking about if the Warriors will win the entire series. We're talking about will they force a Game 6? Absolutely, they're forcing a Game 6. They're at home. They're not going out like that.
Oh
They're
my
not
goodness.
going out
All right,
like that.
watch. Y'all gonna watch. I'm telling y'all this will. Y'all better start. Y'all better stop
telling
looking
you.
at them statistics and reading them analytics and look at the players' movement.
They ain't folding at home like that. They
For
may not
real.
win the series, but they're forcing a Game 6.
You tripping?
Oh, and for the one I cannot wait for. Factor Foolish. The Heat send home the Knicks tonight.
Hell to the no. We ain't going out like that at home. Not in the Mecca. Absolutely not. Not at Madison Square Garden. Ain't no quit in
man.
New York. Listen, I was raised by 2 New Yorkers. We don't know how to quit. We don't know how to defeat.
Wow.
Y'all ain't washing us at home.
Wow,
We have too much
that's
pride
real.
for that. I'm not saying we win the series. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying if we gonna lose, we gonna do it in Miami. We're not doing it in the Mecca.
You
We're
ain't right.
not doing it on 7th Avenue. We're not doing it in that Madison Square Garden.
Ashley.
Hell to the no.
my
Hell
goodness.
to the no. It's not happening.
Ashley,
No.
Ashley,
No.
Ashley.
No. We're too gritty for that.
I'm
We got
losing
too much
respect
pride
for you.
for that.
Let me
We
tell
got
you why I'm
too
losing
much
respect for
pride
you.
for that. Absolutely not.
Okay,
No.
I'm losing respect for you.
No.
And let me tell you why I'm losing respect for you. Okay, because what you just did, you you did what I've been doing with the Suns and this whole depth thing.
Nah.
Yes, you did.
Nah.
You
It's not the same.
you know that the Heat, they're the better team. You know they're the better team. You know that they have the better coach. You just talked about Spoelstra. Oh, my
tonight.
goodness, he gave me my
Not
first
tonight.
chance. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's
Not
running
tonight.
circles around Tibbs.
Not tonight.
Like all of that.
Not
Yeah,
tonight.
so now you're
Not in our
tapping into
house.
what I'm tapping into.
No. You're talking about the will to win for an entire series.
No.
I'm talking about this game. You are not coming into the Mecca, into our house, 7th Avenue, and coming in and ending our series at home.
Right.
Absolutely not. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose with dignity in Miami. You're not watching us at home.
Why can't
Absolutely
I say the same
not.
thing with KD and
No.
Devin Booker?
Huh?
I'm saying not tonight. Ooh,
But they lost yesterday.
Dig deep. I'm talking about the series. We bet the whole series.
We didn't, but we're not talking about game 7. I just said that they could force. I'm just saying. I just said when we had that conversation, they could very much well force a game 7.
What you did is you went with your heart. You went with your gut.
I
You didn't
said
go
that they
with-
very much well can force a game 7. I just said
right.
for me, it's
You see what I'm saying, Corey?
I said that they
You
could
see what I'm saying,
force.
Corey? Did you see what she did?
I did.
I said for the Suns
Okay.
Nuggets game,
All right.
they can force a game 7.
Okay.
I didn't say that they're at home. It's in their favor. Role players play better at
The
home.
Heat send the Knicks home
They're
tonight.
not sending
Fact.
us home at the Mecca.
Fact.
Absolutely not.
They
In
have
our
the-
house.
they have the
Not in
depth.
front of Patrick Ewing. Not in front of John Starks. Not in front of Tracy Morgan. Not in front of Spike Lee. Not in front of the Knicks fans. Not in our home. Not in our house. We ain't going out like that. Ain't no quitting New York, baby. We not doing it. All right? If we gonna lose, we losing in the 305. Have some
I'm weak.
respect for us. Let's go Knicks.
That
Let's
is-
go Knicks.
That is the show, guys. We will see y'all tomorrow, and we will have this conversation tomorrow.
Yes,
Please
indeed.
win.
Heat sending the Knickerbockers on a short subway ride home. Heat in 5, baby. Heat in 5. Yes, sir.
Hey, we love y'all. We see y'all tomorrow.